So I'm going to be reading a little bit of Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman, illustrated beautifully by Chris Riddell. And it's about a dad who realises there's no milk for breakfast, so his son and daughter can't have their cereal. So he goes out to go and get the milk, but he takes a very, very long time getting it. So by the time he gets home, he has this amazing story of why it's taken him so long to buy the milk. And the point of the story I'm going to begin at is where he has just been saved from a volcano by his friend, who is a time-travelling stegosaurus called Professor Steg. So, now I will never get home. My children will never have breakfast. We are doomed to float forever through the dusty air of the past in a hot air balloon. It is not a balloon, said Professor Steg. It is a floaty ball person carrier. What nonsense you do talk. Now I think that should do the trick. He finished attaching the emerald to the box, using string mostly and also sticky tape, and he pushed the red button. Where are we going? I asked. It seemed like the sun was zooming across the sky, as if nights were following days in a flickering strobe. That's their time machine. The far, far future, said Professor Steg. The machine stopped. We were hanging in the air above a grassy plain, with a very small grey mountain beneath us. There, said Professor Steg. It is now an extinct volcano. But look! On the side of the extinct volcano was carved the face of Splod, who's an alien, still recognisable, even though it was much eroded by time and the weather. And in the single eye was a huge green emerald, a perfect twin to the one that we had attached to the time machine. Right, said Professor Steg. Grab me that special shiny greeny stone. I went over the side of the basket and down the rope ladder. I pulled the emerald out of the eye socket. Below me on the plain, a number of brightly coloured ponies were gathered, and when I picked up the emerald, one of them shouted up at me, You must be the man without the milk. We have heard about you in our tales. Why are you a pink pony with a pale blue star on the side? I asked. I know, said the pony with a sigh. It's what everybody's wearing these days. Pale blue stars are so last year. Professor Steg leaned over the side of the balloon's basket. Hurry up, he said. If the volcano is going to go off, it could do so at any moment. The volcano made a noise like a huge burp, and the middle of it collapsed into itself. We thought it would do that, said a green pony with a sparkly mane. There was a prophecy, I suppose, I said. No, we're just very clever. All the ponies nodded. They were very clever ponies. I'm so glad there were ponies, said my sister. I got back into the balloon basket. Professor Steg unhooked the first emerald from his time machine and replaced it with the one that I had just taken from the weathered face of Splod in the future. Do not, whatever else you might do, said the professor, touch those two stones together. Why not? Because, according to my calculations, if the same object from two different times touches itself, one of two things will happen. Either the universe will cease to exist, or three remarkable dwarves will dance through the streets with flower pots on their heads. That sounds astonishingly specific, I said. I know, but it is science, and it is much more probable that the universe will end. I thought it would be, I said. You look so sad, Professor Steg told me. I am. It's the milk. My children are breakfastless. The milk, said Professor Steg. Of course. And with that, Professor Steg pressed the red button with his heavily armoured tail. There was a zoom, a twarp, and a thang, and we were hurtling through the cosmic void. And then it was dark. Very, very dark. Oops, said Professor Steg. And if you want to find out what happens next, you will have to borrow this from the book barn when we are all back in school together. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.